shot at a time.
Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast, guys. And boy, do we have some good news, man. Dante, it's a great time to be a golf fan. If not for the present, for the future. We got some great news today.
The future is right. And with all this negativity going around and obviously the virus and all this hoopla and the fear and, people are just, the uncertainty. Today was a great day, especially in the golf world, because and you can see it in all the golf platforms and even on ours.
There was joy. There was leaps that you could just tell the vibe today in the golf industry.
I mean, I was texting buddies. We were talking about, we need to plan watch parties, this and that, and it was finally good to see some light at the end of the tunnel in a way.
I don't think the golf industry has smiled so much in one day in a very long time, in a week where we thought was going to be all doom and gloom because it was supposed to be Masters Week this week. We were supposed to start to see the beautiful azaleas, the wonderful practice rounds,
Listen,
I mean, it was supposed to be that time.
I think Thursday and Friday on ESPN, they're playing like old Masters tournaments, and on Saturday and Sunday they're playing I think it's like the 2004 or something Masters, and I think on Sunday they're replaying like Tigers win last year. So
are you saying I'm gonna have a really good cry again on Sunday watching Tiger come back again and win the 2019 Masters? Because I cried last time he won it.
Probably, dude. You know how like
grab the tissues.
You know how you have those certain moments in life where you just go back and you talk about it and you remember exactly where you were. And I remember that last year. I was rolling up to we were playing we were just because they moved it because the rain was coming. They moved it earlier. In the day. So I was playing in our Sunday game. Whatnot, and I'm coming up the 16th hole. We just like teed off, and there was just guys just chilling. Everybody just kind of stopped what they're doing, and they just pulled up like They just pulled up the Masters app live and just like watched like that final putt that Woods had. So that was sick to see, and I just I remember that very visually, exactly, just pulling up, getting and they were just like the carts were all there, and everybody just.
That's one of those things that like even when we were watching it, we knew we were witnessing like once in a lifetime history. It's like there's very few moments in life where you can realize it when you're in the moment of like this is transcending the game, it's transcending sports. This will go down as one of those moments where everyone asks, "Hey man, remember where we were when Tiger came back and won on Sunday at Augusta in 2019?" That was one of those moments. Like I think any golf fan will never forget it. So
and it's even the point where the weather starts, because you talk about the azaleas and it's obviously down in Georgia, it's a warmer climate, but like here in like southern New Jersey, this is pretty much that peak time where it finally flips that switch and it's that nice 65 to pushing 70 degrees. So, I mean, it was gorgeous out today, and I had to make sure I got outside today just to get actually I posted on my page. I went for a bike ride, but it just shows that it's that peak season. Well, this is where season starts. It's the Masters. The weather turns. It's just gorgeous out all the time. It just gives you that full like fledge of like we're in it. And we're going.
We're definitely in it. I mean, we still chose to release our Masters edition apparel and logos today. I mean, why not? So let's keep a little bit of normalcy and release a little bit of much anticipated Masters gear. So if you guys want to check that out, that's up on our website, www.enjoythewalk.store. So definitely go check that out. We had some fun, threw a little bit of classic images onto our logos. So definitely. Just please have some fun with it. Go check it out. It's one of a kind. We can definitely say that much. Also, I mean, just going back into what was so great about today, let's just talk about this updated schedule. Now, granted, none of this is guaranteed. None of this is set in stone because we have no clue what the future holds. But as a golf fan, if it does end up being this way, boy, oh boy, are we in for some fireworks. I think we're in for some gloves off bouts coming down the stretch. These guys are going to be anticipated as hell for coming back and playing some golf. The fans are going to be ready. The golfers are going to be ready. The first big tournament coming back in the golf schedule could be the PGA Championship out at Harding Park, August 3rd through the 9th. So that's basically where we start getting back to what, the PGA and the rest of the golf world views as normal is August. I'm cool with that. I'm honestly cool with that.
I'm cool with that because
August is safe.
August is safe because, let's see. April, we're on lockdown already. Come April 30th, we revisit and see what we need for May. Then you got June, July. So, there's granted, if you go into that, that's 2 months out of that. And then once you get into August, you got that. I'm hoping that safe zone there. You still have August, September, October, and November. So granted, the season will be shortened. This is crazy, but
we talked about it last podcast.
You're gonna have golf, and if we can get to August and get ourselves back out there, swinging the stick. We're still gonna have two nice months of summer. October is pretty decent, and then you can even get in certain areas. You can even get in all November and even in December. So you're still gonna have golf, and trust me, my guys, they're gonna be out there grinding it out.
Oh, 100%.
Like we said, the courses are just gonna be so pure. I can't wait.
Yeah. Let's just take a look at it for a second. Obviously, PGA Championship first. Then you go right into FedEx Cup playoffs at the Wyndham Championship, August 10th through the 16th, the Northern Trust, August 17th through the 23rd, then the BMW, the 24th through the 30th, and then the Tour Championship, the 31st through the 7th, and then 2 weeks later, September 14th through the 20th, the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. And then, if you haven't had enough golf yet in an 8-week span, put your freaking flags on. Ole, 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 ole. The Ryder Cup, 22nd through the 27th on home soil. Come on, man. And then the granddaddy of them all, capping out the year, November 9th through the 15th, we get to see some fall golf at Augusta.
That's going to be –
Come on, man. Come on.
That's going to be cool. So you're telling me you're going major, FedEx playoffs, Tour Championship, major, Ryder Cup, major. Did I miss one?
Nope. You got it.
So
you go major, playoff. So 4 playoffs in a row. Then you go major, Ryder Cup, major.
So how many events?
The only one that's officially canceled is the Open Championship. They're officially taking that off the schedule. They're not having it this year.
So okay, yeah, I saw that. That's a bummer. I do like the Open Championship, but I was talking to some people.
As Tiger fanboys, I think that's also always Tiger's other opportunity during the year to rack up a major is usually the Open because he can just outthink everybody. So I'm a little bummed the Big Cat doesn't have a chance at another major.
Yeah, but usually when he plays it, if the weather's off, and he gets that colder climate, it seems like he's a little bit more stiff out there. So
let's not talk about colder, stiff woods because I don't like a November Masters for that exact reason.
Yeah, but so what's that, 7, 8 events or whatever? Because one, you're gonna have everybody's gonna be excited to be playing golf.
8 events. I'm sorry. 8 events.
So you got 8 events. Everybody's gonna be excited to be back in golf if this is full fledged and say everything goes right and this disappears and say this is actually the schedule. So you got 8 events. You're grinding for a major title. Then you're grinding for, in playoffs and everybody, steps their game up with playoffs. And then you got to go back and start playing a major event. The grind and the mental just strength that these players are going to have to go through because there's no break.
And let's just count it out here. That's 7 events in 9 weeks. And then you get a little bit of layoff. Technically 6 events in 8 weeks if you're not playing in the Ryder Cup. But that's 7 events in 9 weeks if you are playing in the Ryder Cup. And then you get all of October to rest up for the Masters. So let me just put this out here for you. There's guys that, okay, yes, they're not in the top 150 that are getting invites to the PGA Championship, that are special exemptions, stuff like that are hungry. They not only need it for, points systems to stay in the top 100, the top 150, whatever. guys, let's not forget, this is their day job. They don't have other income, a lot of these guys. Maybe some sponsorship deals, some, secondary money rolling in, but this is their income. So they're going to be hungry to make money. They're going to be hungry for a championship because all these guys out there are fierce competitors. I'm telling you what, there might be some very inspired golf, and I'd almost go out on a limb and say out of the 3 majors that are being hosted, 2 of them are complete underdogs that we have heard zero from in the last year because of how hungry these guys are going to be.
Mm-hmm. And think about this, those who have, that are some of these guys, they got simulators in their houses, or they're finding ways to get out there and hit balls. So these guys are basically going to be working on their game and on their swing and on consistency from a couple weeks, but like from here and then all the way down to then. So these guys are going to come out firing, and you're going to see it. I don't even think you can pick a winner, just the sole fact that all these guys are going to just be hungry for a W, and mainly just hungry just that they could play again.
I mean, I'm going out on a limb here too. And right as we were kind of seeing the end of all of this, Tiger was pulling out of event after event after event. A healthy Tiger rolling into August on 4 months, 5 months rest. Whoo! Watch out, boys.
You think he'll play all 8?
Absolutely not. No chance. No. I'd say here's his schedule. PGA Championship, Northern Trust because he has to play to get into the BMW, unless he's high enough world rankings. If he finishes high at the PGA Championship and has enough FedEx points, we may only see him at the PGA Championship, the Tour Championship, the U.S. Open, the Ryder Cup, and the Masters. Because I guarantee you he's playing in the Ryder Cup. He may, at Winged Foot, which is a traditionally very, very long, high rough course, he might miss the cut, let's be honest. He has not good track record with courses like that. Played horrible out at Bethpage. And in Winged Foot in September, very good chance the weather could be iffy,
Yeah.
So that maybe 4.5 events if he doesn't make the cut somewhere, But
yeah, I mean, and we all know what he's aiming after. So if he can, whatever he can get himself to 100% when it comes down to getting down to Augusta, that's his main focus now. So it's going to be. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun 8 weeks of golf if that is able to happen.
Oh, as a golf fan, you can't help but just pull for this to be the exact way it's going to go down because, I mean, we're looking at 7 straight weeks of golf, a little layoff to get us pumped up to watch the Masters in November. I mean, this is golf, this is every golf fan's wet dream. Let's be honest. Major championship, playoff, major, Ryder Cup, one of the greatest spectacles of the game, and then the Masters. In a month and a half, 2-month span almost, you have almost every greatest event in golf right now, other than the Open, which is just incredible.
And then 5 months later, you'll have the Masters 2021.
I mean, in a perfect world, that's just beautiful. Does this bring the opportunity and the question of having a fall classic Masters and a normal Masters? Are we bringing into the scenario possible two-time a year Masters tournament?
That would be cool because I know some of the guys I play with. He did mention the one kid. Shout out to we call him Fish. Shout out to Fish. He actually said he would like to see more events there. He really enjoyed the women's amateur that was there last year. He said he loved enjoying that, the drive, chip, and putt. So being able to see that course a lot more on TV and then seeing, all these talented athletes and these golfers playing that course and see how they maneuver around from the kids all to the women and all the way up to the pros, it's really cool to see. So it'd be neat to see if they, maybe host just maybe.
And you bring up a great point. There. You bring up a great point there too, which we really haven't heard from, is the AWNA, the women's amateur event there. We haven't heard if that's been rescheduled yet. That was such a success last year. there was so much rants and raves from not only people who are, diehard fans, but just the entire golf community. That was such a great event to see women playing on Augusta for the first time. And just that event needs to continue. So I'd really hope that does get rescheduled as well. I think it has every right to be in the same conversation of getting rescheduled. And I'd love to see it happen. There's that month layoff between the Ryder Cup and the Masters. I think that's a perfect time to maybe throw it in there in second or third week of October. There's room there for it to be rescheduled. And I think it'd be a shame if it's not.
Yeah. I don't know what happened last year, but I only saw a couple bit of highlights. So I've been flipping through the TV lately, seeing if I can find some type of rescheduled or they just replay it from last year, because just from the highlights alone, I mean, those girls were battling it out and they were just striping the ball right down the middle. And it was,
let's be 100% real here. Kupcho had possibly one of the greatest back nines that there was going down at Augusta of all places. And then Fossey was just following her shot for shot. I mean, when you talk about all-time greatest duels on Augusta's back nine, that's in the conversation. That's what was so cool about it. And I think they couldn't have had a better script, for the first time event there, because, you get someone who runs away with it and it's not a great show and people aren't as interested. But yeah, like you said, man, it was a battle between those two. And I oh my gosh.
She was fired up, and then you can see the emotions from her. And then you can see, I mean, think about just the emotions in that. You're battling against your opponent. It's just you and the other person, and then it's you and yourself trying to get through the excitement, the anxiety, just the hype, and just all those emotions that go with being on the grounds at Augusta National and then you're sitting there trying, and then it's the first event there. Oh man. And just being able to, it's not only like how remarkable it was and to the, trying to think, what's it like, monumental, but at the same time, you're trying to take it all in.
This is some breaking news here. Literally just released as we're recording here on Tuesday evening. The ANWA Women's Amateur at Augusta has unfortunately been canceled. I'm reading it live to you guys as we're on the podcast right now.
Damn, that
but
sucks.
Something very cool, and I think a brief glimpse of hope here. Every amateur invited in 2020 will be invited in 2021, along with qualifiers in 2021. So it sounds like, if accepted, it's going to be a major field.
That's going to be a big field.
And that's cool too. So unfortunately, man, I hate to see that. I hate to see that cancel. I think it boils down to logistics for Augusta, and getting the course ready in the fall after probably having it open and manicured for all summer long. I don't know. It just seems like a tough decision, obviously, but something that just we keep seeing time and time again, man. It just there's been unprecedented circumstances, and scheduling has to be crazy for all these chairmen.
Oh, for sure. But that's nice of them to basically take, hey, let's reschedule 2020 and mix it with 2021. So those who have that opportunity to be able to, that we're supposed to be playing this year, it's not like, sorry, see if you can get into 2020. No, you are in 2021, and those who are trying to get in for 2021, that's going to be exciting to watch.
For sure. So, no, a lot of great prospects of, tournaments in the future here for the golf world. And as we said, today was just an amazing day for the golf community to just finally find some glimpses of hope, man. Really excited to hopefully see that pan out the way it's planned. And just roll into the fall, end of summer, fall, with a lot of golf on the schedule.
Yeah, maybe some colored leaves in the background behind 12.
Boy, we can only hope.
Ooh, that would look nice.
No doubt about it. But, continuing with our, I feel like we've dubbed this carry bag week, continuing with our carry bag theme. We had Tyler Golfbag on the episode yesterday. And just want to make a quick, public service announcement, I guess, for us as pertaining to our brand, our podcast. We are going to 3 times a week, guys. So if you do listen to us, please know that we are releasing Monday episode along with our as normally scheduled Tuesday, Thursday episodes. So we've got some more free time. So we figured why not bring you guys more content and just, get as many great individuals onto this podcast as possible. So, and that's another thing too, we've had some people reach out that have had, good connections that we've had on the podcast, and continue to do that. If you have someone that you think is a really great story inside the industry of golf, please send them their contact information and let us get a hold of them. We'd love to have them on. And I think anyone and everyone, whether you're, in the golf industry or just a part of it in some way, shape, or form, I think everyone's got a very unique story to tell, and we love telling it. So keep reaching out, guys. Keep, just interacting with us. And if you haven't listened or rated us on iTunes, please head over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. That really, really helps us continue to grow as we are. So, thank you guys so much for listening. And without further ado, we'll get into our interview with Steve Steurer from Sunday Golf Bags. Back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast. This is a pretty sweet episode for us, Dante. We had a guy, Tyler McDaniel, on yesterday that talked us through his new bag company. And today we have kind of, what he mentioned a little bit earlier in his podcast, the vintage side of things, the throwback carry bags, the, from scratch leather bags, the classic bags that, he was talking about that's been around the game for absolute ages. And, you mentioned it, which I think was so cool yesterday, the likes of Trevino and Nicholas and Palmer, those kind of guys and those old school leather bags is what we're about to get into today. I'm pretty excited. Aren't you?
Oh yeah. It's, I like to say it, back to my girlfriend Kirsten out there. Shout out to her. She said, "Yeah, it sounds like it's bag week for you." So it kind of goes perfect right there. It's bag week. Like we were talking about yesterday. It's those guys, Trevino, Nicholas, and all that. And they had this different type of swagger, and it's kind of cool where you can kind of almost go full circle and see that coming back. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to get into this one.
Yeah, for sure. And, we have an absolute golf industry veteran. I think, it has just been around the game for so long, has actually made a golf bag for Nicholas, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later in the podcast. But he runs Sunday Golf Bag now, kind of how we stumbled upon him over Instagram. But Steve Steurer out of Louisville, Kentucky, thanks for joining the podcast today, man. Excited to get into everything you bring to the table.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No doubt, we talked a little bit about those vintage names, and I think that's kind of where we want to start. How long have you been around the game making leather products, specifically golf bags?
All right. So I went to work for Brunswick Corporation in 1981, just out of college. Well, I hadn't even finished college yet. And they were the largest OEM manufacturer of golf bags in the country. We produced about 1,200 golf bags a day. And in that factory, we also made bowling ball bags because Brunswick's a big bowling company. We produce about 1,000 bowling ball bags a day, as well as sport luggage and all kinds of other accessories, head covers, and all kinds of things. And when I got into the business, what you were just talking about was really, really cool. 1981. If you really think about the history of golf bags, there weren't really golf bags until the turn of the century, right? Everybody carried their clubs around their hand or over their shoulder. So 1900, first golf bags were produced. They were very small, 4 inches in diameter, and grew over time because, people started to get more and more clubs in their bag, I guess. There was 14 club rule that started somewhere in the mid-century. And then carts came along, and everything got huge, like Rodney Dangerfield's bag. Yeah. So what happened was in 1981, I got into the business and really learned that old trade from a bunch of old guys who had been doing it for years. And they were designing, all kinds of sporting goods, baseball gloves, baseballs, footballs. Just, the list was forever long, right? And they taught me how to make all these paper patterns with my hands, right? So there were no computers involved or anything like that. Everything was laid out on a board, and then I would take those to a sample person. They would cut them out for me, and we put them together. So it was really, really cool. And like I said, at that time, the whole industry was starting to change. So Sun Mountain was first coming around. I started really studying backpacking and hiking gear, and really started to put all kinds of really lightweight, durable materials and lightweight metals and things and plastics into the bags, so we could start getting back to that whole carrying part of the games. Get away from the carts a little bit.
Sure. And now I know you hit a sweet spot there for Dante talking about Brunswick, a huge bowler in his own right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dante, have you had a couple of their bags in the past?
I have. I actually have this one just small little single ball carry bag, but he mentioned Brunswick and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, that's bowling. And then you put it together.
On my website, there's a leather bowling ball bag there that we made just for when the Omni Hotel opened in town. They opened a speakeasy in there because of all the bourbon here in town, and they put a couple of bowling alleys in it. So we made them a couple of small leather bowling ball bags. You should take a look at it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So now you said you started kind of messing around with putting different things in the bag to make it a carry bag. What were some of those first materials, as you mentioned, that kind of went into that, the first ever bag you made that was really truly a carry bag?
Really, truly a carry bag was a Hogan bag that I made in 1986, I think it was. It was called a Hogan High Tech. It was more of a smaller bag, plastic top. It was made out of a 1000 denier Cordura pack cloth. Very, very lightweight. Didn't have any leather, vinyl, any heavy materials on it at all. And it was just a huge hit. Sold about 70,000 of those the first year it was in production. And was copied by everybody. And I do have on the Instagram, there's a picture of one of the Hogan catalogs, I think, from that year that shows a few of those small bags that we just first started to teeter with about that point.
Oh yeah, and it's pretty cool too, because everything was so it looks heavy, but it's not heavy, if that makes sense. With just the materials, and everything was just big patches of leather back then, I feel like. So it's so cool to be able to look back on them and then just see it coming back too, like Dante mentioned earlier, and kind of even what we talked about yesterday with Tyler is that old style, that old vintage look is definitely coming back around. And we see it not only in golf bags, but I think in style, in shoes, in just about every shape or form, we see it somehow coming back into the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thing I have to ask is, you said you did bags for Nicholas, and were there any other pros during that time, as you were kind of making the Hogan bags, that you ended up maybe even having on staff or just doing specific bags?
We did all Hogan staff, all McGregor staff, all of the Callaway staff, Wilson staff. So, with the Hogan staff, we were making bags for, Tom Kite, Freddie Couples. The McGregor staff was obviously Jack Nicklaus and Ben Crenshaw. The Rawlings staff, we made all of those bags. And you mentioned him yesterday. Lee Trevino was on the Rawlings staff at that point. I think he was the only one on the Rawlings staff because they had a very small staff. But yeah, it was, and then, even with the power built HMB things here in town, Fuzzy Zoller was on their staff. So made plenty of bags for Fuzzy.
That's awesome. Yeah,
man.
That's a lot of greats. That's a lot of greats.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Now, clubs were a little different back then that they were putting in these bags, I imagine, in the 80s and 90s compared to what we're stuffing in there today.
Yeah, I'm still playing with an old set of Hogan forged irons, edge irons. They're awesome. They're like butter, man. It's like a butter knife hitting the ball.
I tell you, I every time I get the opportunity, I'm always going to either, thrift stores or the old antique stores and looking for those old wood heads, because there's something about hitting them, man, that there's just some pure bliss when you truly hit one on the screws that just there's no better feeling.
Yeah, but there's no worse feeling if you don't hit the screws.
Oh, insanely unforgiving. Yeah,
you don't want that
every
pain.
1 out of 100 feels pretty nice. The other 99, we just don't talk about.
That's right. There you go. Well, you hit a lot better than I do.
Yeah, we give it a try. But and I want to talk too a little bit. You talked about how they were so handmade. Even like the templates were kind of handmade. So did it come to a point where like most of these bags, while they were the same shape and the same form, like there was really no true like same bag as another? Like were they mostly all one of ones to a certain degree?
Well, back in, I guess back when we were making 1,200 bags a day, you'd do some Wilson bags, then you'd do some Spalding bags, then you'd do some Titleist bags. I mean, it was just constant, flow coming through, but pretty much everything was different, it's like it is today. I mean, if you look at a TaylorMade or Titleist catalog or whatever, there's 4 or 5 different, bags and many different colorways to go along with that. So that's kind of the way all that worked out. When we make like special things for people, you get like, I don't know, sports pros, things like that would come in. Like Jerry Lucas came in one time to the factory and we made him a bag, few other people. But, so you make custom things like that. But most of those, even the tour staff bags were, just a large staff bag that you sold to everybody that was in the public. You do a few things different, make them a little bit more durable. You take out the hard poly tube that was inside of them and put some stays in there, so it was a lot more comfortable for the caddy to carry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how comfortable it could be for them to carry around like a 100-pound bag for 4 hours, but I guess that's their job, so they got to do it.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, even from the caddying side of things, technology's done a lot for them boys to make those loops a little easier on them. From, the staff bags probably are even bigger than they are today, but it seems like they got a little double strap sometimes going on, or strap assist, or, a little bit of technology, just like you said, to make that carry a little easier on those Tour Pro guys that are carrying those bags week in and week out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've done a lot of study on carry. I have 6 U.S. patents on dual straps, and I have those listed on Instagram. People can go look at those. But the best one that I really came up with was, at that point in time there weren't any dual straps other than the Izzo, and then a looper, which is the assist that you're talking about now. But my patent I was able to develop where you would take a single strap off the bag and it would connect at those 2 points. So it retrofitted everything that was out there. So we sold lots of those and licensed that to about 17 different golf companies.
So that's interesting. Talk us through that a little more. Like when you first came up with that idea, when you applied for the patents, was there anything like really competition wise out there like that at the time? Or was it kind of like when you came up with the idea, you were like, this could be completely industry game changing?
Well, I guess I'd be a second there. There was a company, Izzo. There was a guy who invented a strap that would attach to the handle and then attach to the 2 attachment points. But really, the handle on a bag's not really designed to carry the bag full time, so it's a weak point. So yeah, so I think that what we came up with and what I came up with was a way to attach it to the 2 points on the bag that are actually designed to hold the stress of carrying all the weight. So yeah, I think it was a game changer.
That's really cool to hear, because now you don't find a bag these days that's out on the market that's not a double strap of some sort. Going through college golf, Ping kind of had the mascot bag and the hoofer bag early on that really kind of were just a staple, and I think still are a staple to this day in the way colleges pick up team bags. So from that side of things, everyone really has a double strap. Yeah,
back in the day when I was around the college age, all the college bags were they were all Jones bags.
And it's funny because
Jones bag.
We see it coming back today. Jones has been like a huge hit in the market, to the point where they're almost, I feel like, the in thing again. They are the bag to have, especially in the carry side of things. If you have any kind of person that's truly interested in, the brand of like carrying their bag and repping that kind of mentality, it's a Jones bag or a Mackenzie, one of the 2. But I mean, that's kind of been the mainstream again in 2020. And that was what was in the 80s.
Absolutely. And it was, George Jones was like, he was a true character too, man. It was like somebody that you never forget after you meet him. But Yeah, so I guess that's not in his hands anymore, but I think they're doing a good job with that. Mm-hmm.
I'd say brand awareness is quite large on the scale for them right now. They're not hurting.
No, not at all.
Now, so
I think a lot of people are, and that's what I really like about it too. Like as we were discussing earlier, is how you're seeing that full circle of the greats come back into play with these types of bags, because to me, I've ever since I started walking a golf course, I never want to get back into a cart ever again. And I've always struggled with trying to find that perfect bag. But you're starting to realize that these more Sunday carry bags, I mean, they're so simplistic, and each bag, and then you can see on yours too, they have the right pockets for what you need. And as long as you know how to get what type of clutter you don't really need out of your bag to go in, you have the essential pockets that you need, and then you just have this nice light small bag you can fit all your clubs in. You can go, and I can see why. And to me, I'm hoping that's why a lot people are investing more into these bags, and they're investing more into walking the course, because even like a ping hoofer sometimes can kind of get that, just extra little bulkiness can kind of get in the way and just be a little bit of a nuisance. So you come and you pull these types of bags out, and if you don't mind just laying it on the ground, I mean, you're just bending over just a little bit more, you're good to go. And I love to see that. And I'm just scrolling through your Instagram right now, and I just want to touch it.
Yeah, I think what I really wanted to do here was just get a classic one pocket bag, and not have it be like McKenzie's, not have it be like Jones, have it have my own, twist on it, right? And just make it really simple. So I put one pocket on there, and then there's a valuables pocket on the inside of that, and then a small tab that you can snap your keys in there, and you're good to go.
I saw that key tab is probably one of my favorite parts about the bag.
That was low key, like one of the things that I was like, yeah, like I do need that. Like, you're looking at it and you're thinking like, okay, what are the essentials that I'm obviously taking out of my pocket and putting in there that I don't need? And keys are there every
time. I actually put my wedding ring on that too.
Not a bad idea.
That's smart.
Yeah. And it doesn't get lost. You can't come home from the golf course without your wedding ring on.
I was going to say, that keeps the missus happy too, which everybody knows, happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Now, take us through, you have a couple iterations, and we'll get into, what you've just recently been working on, but that first go around of the Sunday bag, and what I'm looking here, it had that kind of just, one divider, two pocket, more rounded out bag. Take us through, how you first came up with that design, and really what all materials went into making that. I mean,
so was it the green one or was it the green one or the gray one?
It's the gray one.
The gray one. Okay. Yeah. So the gray one, it's kind of more McKenzie-esque, right? And that's the one that ended up abandoned. But I just wanted to put that together and have just kind of a simple one pocket bag. And I want to add a little flair to it too. So if you look down below the handle there on the handle plate, right, have some wingtip kind of baroquing that's cut out of there, and then around the bottom as well. So I was just trying to add a little class to it. And but that is that's a 22-ounce wax canvas. It's Martexan material. It's what they used to make like sails and rain jackets, things like that, like way back in the day before there were all these waterproof materials. So it's like a 10-ounce canvas that is dipped in a wax that gets into about 22 ounces. So it's pretty heavy, heavy in weight, but not heavy. The bag wouldn't be heavy. Then I wanted to try to come up with, more kind of new way to do the strap. So I actually made all leather on the strap and turn use the the inside of the leather for the outside of the strap, so it wouldn't slide around your shoulder. Also with the divider on the top, was able to do that without any strapping, because a lot of times when somebody's using those bags and you have a strap up there that holds that divider in, and they have a tendency to break. There's a lot of weight on them. So I just used a small piece of all thread there with some caps on the end and just put a couple of grommets in there and screwed that together and held that in great. That bag ended up being, 3.5 pounds. So it was an awesome bag.
Which, I mean, yeah, on the grand scheme of things in the golf industry, even for stand bags, I mean, there's guys in the stand bag industry struggling to get to 5 pounds, let alone 3 pounds. So, I mean, that's
Yeah,
a great
it's got a 7-inch ring in the top, so it comfortably carries 14 clubs. I don't know who would want to do that. I only carry about 10, but to each his own. But I mean, it would comfortably carry that, and it's structured, so it has a spine, so it stands up. It has a ring in the top of it.
And I think that's the biggest thing too. Now we've dove into this whole carry scene kind of head first, full throttle, and getting a couple different carry bags, noticing the ones that aren't spined and the ones that do have a little bit of structure. I love one that can stand up in a cart if I need it to, at like all worst case scenario, or even just in the day-to-day play, something that just stands on itself, like, and has that structure and isn't just basically collapsing around the clubs is something I truly appreciate, because there's some bags out there that they collapse and a little loss of a structure.
It's kind of all in the materials too, I mean, even with the one that we have is unstructured. So listen, we have 2 structured bags, right? We'll talk about the second structured one in a second, but even with our unstructured bag, it's a really heavy nylon, 1,000 denier, and it will not slide down on your clubs. So I put it on a cart, not a problem.
That's awesome, and that's something I guess I never really thought about too, was just the weight and the density of the fabric itself, because I always thought, well, it needs a structure to stand on itself. But I guess the testimony is true if you have the ring up top and the ring in the bottom, and then a thick enough, sturdy enough material in between, it really won't kind of collapse on itself.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not and it's not huge, right? It's only 7 inches, so once you get 10 clubs in there, or 11 clubs in there, and you can fit 14 if you really wanted to, but the clubs actually become the structure.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned you don't carry 14 clubs. I got to ask, which ones are you losing?
I'm losing a 3-wood. I'm losing 4 or 5 iron. I got a driver hybrid, and then 6, 7, 8, 9 wedge, and a putter. So
I like it. I'm all about the less than 14 mentality. I just had to know which ones didn't make the cut.
Yeah, well, there's a picture on the website with all my clubs laid out, so you can see what I got there.
Awesome. Well,
on my Instagram, yeah.
I was going to say, for those who don't follow you yet, go follow Steve and all of his, bags at Sunday Golf Bag on Instagram. He posts some seriously, truly beautiful work on there. And like he just said, you can follow along and see what clubs he ends up putting in the bag. So I just had to know.
Awesome.
Let's get into what you guys are working on now more recently. We talked a little bit about the first kind of version of the bags, the first style you had, and then you decided to kind of revamp a little bit. The structure of the bag is a little different. The entry of the bag, the top ring is, we're not even one ring. We'll get into that. But, what made you make a change or want to make a change in the design?
I just wanted to make the lightest, easiest to carry bag that you could have. Make the pockets very utilitarian. Make the top, it doesn't even have a ring. It just has leather. The leather's nice and thick. It's like bridle leather they would make bridles out of for a horse. So it holds the shape. And so it has one divider. It's very unique in the way that it's made. I haven't seen anything like it. I wanted to be different. You could always say you're a designer and go out and copy everybody. But, truly, if you're going to make product, you should make product that's unique. And that's what we're really striving to do here.
I think you guys do that well, and I think you've done that well, obviously, for ages now. I mean, you look at how many patents you have, and the patent process, I know, is very stringent and very, time-consuming and a process. And I think it speaks to the way you've been able to be kind of, just not going along with the trend. You've been able to set the trend in the way that you've gone through the patent process many times and have done that, on your own. It's you can't copy something and get a patent. You have to be truly unique and truly one of a kind. So
absolutely.
Getting into that new bag now, you said, you have that bridle leather up top, and I encourage everyone to go check it out because it's truly what caught my eye. I was like, whoa, that's like you said, I've never seen a bag like that. Like why is it like that? And, the more you get into it, the more you realize, obviously that bridle leather is going to be a little lighter than like a metal ring or some sort of materialed ring around the top. Now what's keeping it together? What's the rest of the bag material looking like?
Well, it's the bridle leather on the top. And then what we were talking about before was that 1,000 denier, which is really thick. It's like the pack cloth they use for the Army, right? Nylon. So instead of using a canvas, I'm using a nylon. Canvas has a tendency not have all the UV protection like you would want. So it'll start to fade over time, where this nylon is going to hold up and it's going to keep its color for a lot longer. It's also going to be waterproof when you land on the ground if it's dewy morning or the rain. And the rest of the bag is made with another bridle leather. It's a little bit softer to add the style and the color for all the trim pieces.
That's awesome. So it's going to basically weather well. It's going to last you a long time. Now, I guess the only other thing I could possibly think of, maybe, people having questions about, or myself having questions about, or how does it do with like, the rain, and is it something that, if you get it wet or something like that, you got to let it sit out and dry for a long time, or how does that material really, work in all the weather conditions?
Yeah, it's the material's a lot like a rain jacket. It's got a UV water protection on the back of it. So yeah, it'll dry pretty quickly. We do punch a hole in the bottom and put a grommet in the bottom of the bag. So if water gets inside, it'll drain out. So that'll help keep your grips a little bit drier. If that happens, it'll help it dry out down there a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, for everything that you need to do with these bags, it's going to be good in the sun, good in the rain. It's going to be lightweight. The bag comes in right about 1.5 pounds. So it's super light.
I beg for anyone to find a lighter bag than that with the craftsmanship and quality. I mean, I don't know anyone else making a 1.5 pound bag. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Right. That is like the oh man, that's just like the golden ticket for a walking bag right there. I mean, you're basically, like you said, it's almost like the olden days where they just carry their clubs on their shoulder. I mean, that's literally what you're doing. Is the weight you're going to get is from your golf clubs. So if you like 14 clubs like I do, or if you like 10 or 11 clubs, man, your shoulders won't be barking. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. Now I have to ask, you guys are in Louisville. You guys are known for your bourbon. Is there any like little flask pocket anywhere? Are we slipping any bourbon in the bags?
If you look at the pocket on the website, there's a picture of a flask in that little pocket that's on the inside there next to the key holder.
How convenient.
It's right in there. And we sell leather wrapped flasks too. So we can make you one of those as well. Those are great gifts too, with people's initials on them.
Oh, I tell you what, and that's what else I wanted to get into too. You've been around the leather industry, like you said, for a very long time. And I'd love to get into that a little bit too, because I just think everything else you do is kind of just like a cohesive bunch that just all comes together. And it just proves that, the amount of craftsmanship and work that goes into these golf bags is not just, someone testing out golf bags. You've been around the industry for so long, and you make handheld bags, you make the flask covers, you make wallets and passport covers and just everything. Talk us through a little bit of just, the other side of leather products that you do. How long have you guys been doing that as well at Steurer & Co? And your wife is also in, I believe, in that industry with you, and kind of talk us through that day-to-day life of what else you guys do aside from the golf bags.
Well, we, my kids grew up and moved out, so we had all this space and, had some extra time. My wife was just, wanting to do something and not really go back to work. So about 4 years ago, I had a need for a laptop bag, and she wanted to really have like a leather toe. We started looking online, really couldn't find anything that we liked, and she said, "Hey, why don't we just make one?" So it was just the weirdest thing. So it was like, okay, let's just do that. So we bought some leather from a guy downtown. There's an old part of town here that's called Butchertown. It's where they used to butcher all the cattle and everything. And there's still tanneries down there. So they have the leather. And so we stopped in, saw him. made up some patterns, and then we went and saw a saddle maker actually to make the first bags, and kind of managed him through sewing those together. Now we have a sewing machine in the garage just outside the door here, but we made that. I made the laptop bag. It's the Lincoln laptop bag, the one that's on the website, Steurer & Co. And then we made my wife Madison a tote bag, and she started carrying it around. People started commenting on it. I traveled a lot, so I started taking this through TSA, and all these TSA agents and gate agents would start commenting on, where'd you get that bag? That's a really nice bag. So I'd come home with these stories, and she said, why don't we make some more of these and sell them? So we made a few more. And then we started going to these art fairs around the South. We go to Nashville, we go to Atlanta, we go, there's several fairs here. A lot of the distilleries will have things in the spring when they're just releasing their bourbon and have art fairs there. And we just started selling all of it, and it really took off. Those small pocket wallets. I kind of look at that pocket wallets like our golf bag a little bit, because you just have to figure out what you need, right? You don't need everything in your wallet. You don't need everything in your golf bag. So if you can pack a little bit lighter, you can end up, not carrying as much stuff around with you all the time. But, so we made, wallets, passport covers, overnight weekend bags, wine, we made these bourbon totes and started selling them to the Omni Hotel, and people come to town and buy their bourbon. They put them in these totes, take them home, give them away as gifts. It's really cool. It's been a really nice business.
Yeah, it's awesome. And there's so many pieces on your website that just are like cohesive, and I could see, like if you pick up, like you said, maybe the wallet or a little bifold wallet even, and then like, oh man, my wallet's got to match my journal cover, or maybe it's even got to match my passport, and then you just kind of build on that. And I can see people really liking the class that a lot of your products bring to the table, and it just all falls back into how well these golf bags are made. I think is just you bring a full cohesive product together, and it ends up being a truly one of a kind, beautiful piece of not only functional material, because obviously golf bags are functional, but it becomes a talking piece as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what my wife always says is that the people that buy our golf bag could always buy their wife something while they're on our website, and then they'll never get in trouble when two things show up.
I tell you, that might be the ultimate little loophole is, well, honey, I bought you something too.
That's right.
So always package that golf bag with a gift for the wife, and you might not have too many harsh words.
That's right.
I love that. And now I see I'm just kind of scrolling your website too, and I see you guys also make head covers, yardage books, and scorecard holders. Now, do you guys source all of that yourself as well? You make the head covers and all of that leather product in house too?
Yep, we make all that. Yep. Very
nice. Now, I'm guessing the wax canvas head covers, they just look so cool. And I'm looking at it, and they have patches of leather on it. Are they more like heat branded, or how do you get those numbers?
Yeah, that's heat branded. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a half-ton press, and I just heat up these. I have a clamp that they clamp into. You heat these. The magnesium dyes up with a heat gun, and just press it down in the leather, and the oils are in that leather, and it just kind of burns it, toasts it just a little bit.
That's awesome. No, that's just that extra little touch. I love seeing burnt leather. Anything wood burnt, really, for me, whether it's wood burnt or leather burnt, just looks, that little extra touch just puts a nice little ending piece on it.
Yeah.
Oh man, love it. It's just nice because it's just like such genuine leather, and to me, it just seems like you're taking a part of Kentucky with you, because that's what it comes up into my mind. So like you see these bags out there, because I do have a little part. I've been down there. My previous job, been down there a few times. So it just kind of like I'm just scrolling through your website, and I'm just like looking at some of these products, and it just brings back kind of the memories that when I was down there during my time with my previous job, working here and there. So it's just really cool to see, and that's what I like, especially when you were explaining the burnt leather right there. That was sick. I really enjoyed that.
And the other thing we do is we name every product after a place or a person, either in or from Kentucky. Nice. So there's a travel blog there that talks about a lot of places around the state, and my wife writes all that. So everything is, like our golf bag's named Middlesboro. It's the oldest golf bag or oldest golf course in Kentucky. It's been around since like the 1700s. So that's the name of the golf bag. But then we have like the Jefferson weekend bag and Lincoln satchel, and there's a lot of stories there.
Got the Colonel. You got
no
Colonel. No Colonel. Oh
no
man.
Colonel. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Everybody can take a piece of the Colonel home with them, whatever state they're in.
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I want to touch one last time again on just that Jack Nicklaus bag. The one that you posted on your Instagram says it's the second. Now, obviously, he used one of them in the Masters, and I want to maybe touch on that. Did you ever get to interact with Mr. Nicklaus personally? And if not, what other tour pros maybe do you have some neat stories about just interacting with your product over the years?
Well, I never met Mr. Nicklaus, but when I was in Fort Worth one time for a design meeting, I did get to sit down and meet Mr. Hogan.
That's special.
So that's probably the highlight of my career.
Yeah, people always talk about just how stoic Hogan was, I guess, in just the way he approached everything, not even on the course, but off the course. What was that meeting like? He was
very involved in his business. I mean, he was very detailed about what he wanted to have, right? And he wanted to make sure that you knew that if you were going to make anything for a big Hogan company, it was going to be quality or he wasn't going to buy it. That's what that was all about.
And I feel like that's so telling. I feel like a lot of professionals that have had a long career, a storied career, are very detail oriented. Not even just on the golf side of things, but on the material side of things. My gloves got to be particular about gloves, particular about their grips, their lie, their loft, everything. Just everything is so minute because that's what it takes to exceed at golf on the highest of levels. And most of the times it usually transitions into those guys' business. And it's cool to see that Hogan.
Well, yeah, especially Mr. Hogan. I mean, he was the best. I mean, unbelievable person, unbelievable golfer. They used to talk about him. He'd go out and just practice till his hands bled, right? So it's crazy. He's really dedicated.
I can only imagine the bleeding hand mentality very easily transition into his business, and it's why it's still around today. There's a reason Ben Hogan Company is still producing very high-end quality products based off of his mentality, his impression he left on everyone that's running it today. I really appreciate you joining us today, and I'm stoked to just see how these bags that you've come out with in the last week here are going to be received. I think from our side of things that really are advocating for people walking the golf course, I can't find a better bag, weight wise and just overall construction wise. And I'm really, really excited to see how the industry takes these bags and receives them, because I think they're truly one of a kind, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy them.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been really fun. So y'all have a really great podcast here. And then I just want to let everybody know that I'm at Sunday Golf Bag, and I'm at Steve Steurer, and at Steurer.co on Instagram, and then Steurer.co on the internet. It's STEURER.co.
And then if you guys go to his Instagram at Sunday Golf Bag, you guys can find all that information as well that he just said previously, as well as his website where you can find all of his bags and make some purchases. So, Steve, really appreciate the time. I think our listeners will really enjoy, this side of the carry industry, and we hope to see you and your wife and your business continue to succeed another 40 years into the future.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Take care. And as always, guys, you can find us at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Instagram, www.enjoythewalk.store. You can find all of our latest Masters release there, and all of our T-shirts, hats, and whatever you guys would like to pick up. So thanks for following along. Thanks for listening. And as always, guys, enjoy the walk.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.